Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Scary Story Marathon Part 2. Get ready for some scary story fun.
Hi everybody, happy Halloween! I'm so glad to see you again. Today I'm going to read to you the book called Halloween Night about a little mouse and a jack-o'-lantern. Here we go. Oh, this book is written by Elizabeth Hatch and the pictures were illustrated by Jimmy Pickering. It's beautiful. It's Halloween night. This is a jack-o'-lantern. This is the mouse who hides inside the jack-o'-lantern. This is the bat who dips and dives in the sky above the mouse hiding inside the jack-o'-lantern. This is the owl who hoots at the bat who dips and dives up in the sky above the mouse hiding inside the jack-o'-lantern. He likes that, doesn't he? This is the cat, all inky black, who stalks the owl, who hoots at the bat, who dips and dives up in the sky, above the mouse, hiding inside the jack-o'-lantern. Who's coming next? Aha! This is the child, all draped in white, who loves the cat, all inky black, who loves the cat, who stalks the owl, who hoots at the bat, who dips and dives up in the sky, above the mouse, hiding inside the jack-o'-lantern. There's a lot to hide from. This is the dog, begging for treats. Who trips the child? Oh no! Who spills all the treats and startles the cat? Who spooks the owl? Who frightens the bat? Who swoops away up across the sky? Bye-bye, bat. This is the mouse, merry and safe, who nibbles a treat this Halloween night beside the jack-o'-lantern. I hope you enjoyed that book, Halloween Night. Happy Halloween.
This is the story of Mouse's first Halloween. Lauren Thompson is the author, and Phuket Erdogan is the illustrator. One spooky night, when the moon was bright, Mouse crept around, and this is what he found. High in the sky, Mouse saw something flying. Flit, flit, flit. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What could it be? What do you think it might be? Let's find out. Swooping bats, that's all. Not so scary after all. Down on the ground, Mouse heard something moving. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What could it be? Tumbling leaves, that's all. Not so scary after all. Up on a pole, Mouse saw something flapping. Flip, flip, flip. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What could it be? A waving scarecrow, that's all. Not so scary after all. Under a branch, Mouse heard something dropping. Plop, plop, plop. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What could it be? Falling apples, that's all. not so scary after all. Over near the wall, Mouse saw something sneaking. Creep, creep, creep. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What could it be? Scampering kittens, that's all. Not so scary after all. Deep in the shadows, Mouse saw something flickering. Grin, grin, grin. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What could it be? A glowing jack-o'-lantern, that's all. Not so scary after all. Then, on the step, Mouse heard something knocking. Thump, 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 thump. Eek! Mouse squeaked. What, oh what could it be? Trick-or-treaters! Hooray! And they sang, trick or treat, giggle and fright, it's fun to be scared on Halloween night. The end. That is the story of Mouse's first Halloween. Not so scary after all.
Everyone, I'm Miss Katrina, and tonight I will read to you The Dog House by Jan Thomas. It's not so scary, but just in case, if you do get scary, I have a tip for you. If you get scared and there's someone next to you also listening to the story, grab their hand and squeeze it tight. That'll make you feel a little better. If you happen to have a pet nearby, grab them and pet them and hug them until the story's over. Okay? All right, let's get started. Once again, this is The Dog House by Jan Thomas. Oh, look! Some of our friends are playing a game. Do you know what game they're playing? I think it might be kickball. Do you see the ball? Oh yeah, they're definitely playing kickball. Do you know what's going to happen to that ball? Let's see. Oh no, the ball went into the dog house. Ooh, it looks scary. Who will get it out? Do you think Duck will? Where's Duck? There he is. What about Cow? Mouse? Or maybe Pig? Mouse says Cow will, because Cow is big. Cow is brave. Cow is strong. Cow goes moo. He doesn't want to go in. But Cow goes into the dog house. But Cow does not come out. Oh no. Oh. Now Cow and the ball are in the dog house. Who will get them out? Yeah, I think so. I think Pig. Mouse says Pig will, because Pig is smart. Pig is wise. Pig is, ooh, stinky. Pew. Pig says, stinky. So Pig goes into the dog house. And he says, I am not stinky. But but Pig does not come out. Oh no. Now Cow and Pig and the ball are in the doghouse. Who will get them out? Oh yeah, Duck. Mouse says Duck will, because Duck is noisy. I don't think Duck wants to go into the doghouse, but Duck still goes into the doghouse, quacking all the way. But Duck does not come out. Duck, can't you come out? Asked Mouse. Do you see something? I think I see something. I think I see a pair of eyes. Whose eyes could they be? Oh no. Uh-oh. Do you see who it is? It's Dog. And Dog says, Duck can't come out because I'm having duck for dinner. Duck for dinner, cries Mouse. Oh no! Oh my goodness, I think Mouse is really scared. All right. What do you think? Do you want to see what is really happening inside the doghouse? Do you think I would really read you a story where all of our main characters get eaten? Well, I might, but not this time. Are you ready to see how it is inside that doghouse? What do you think? Not so scary, huh? They're having dinner. Dog says, too bad Mouse couldn't come too. And Cow says, more turnips, Duck? Do you see who has a seat all their own? Mouse does. And then if you look really closely, do you see who's looking through the window? That's right, Mouse. He was the smartest of the bunch because he didn't go into the house before he looked through the window and checked it out. But he saw it was good. So he decided to go inside. And Dog said, oh, glad you could join us for cake, Mouse. Mouse says, cake! Yay. And look, can you see what Mouse is sitting on? That's right, the ball. Wasn't that a great story? Oh, I love the doghouse. Were you scared? You still holding somebody's hand? Well, thank you so much for listening. Have fun with the next story. Bye.
This is the story of the little old lady who was not afraid of anything by Linda Williams. Once upon a time, there was a little old lady who was not afraid of anything. One windy afternoon, the little old lady left her cottage and went for a walk in the forest to collect herbs and spices, nuts and seeds. She walked so long and so far that it started to get dark. There was only a sliver of moon shining through the night, and the little old lady started to walk home. But suddenly she stopped, because right there in the middle of the path were two big shoes. And the shoes went clomp, clomp. Can you do that with me? Clomp, clomp.
Get out of my way, you old two big shoes. I'm not afraid of you, said the little old lady, and on she walked down the path. But behind her, she could hear two shoes go clomp, clomp. A little farther on, the little old lady stumbled into a pair of pants. And the pants went wiggle, wiggle. Can you do that? Wiggle, wiggle. Get out of my way, you old pair of pants. I'm not afraid of you, said the little old lady, and on she walked. But behind her, she could hear two shoes go clump, clump. One pair of pants go wiggle, wiggle. Oh, farther still, the little old lady bumped into a shirt, and the shirt went shake, shake. Can you do that? Shake, shake. Good job. Get out of my way, you old silly shirt. I'm not afraid of you, said the little old lady, and on she walked, a little bit faster. But behind her, she could hear, here we go, two shoes go clump, clump. One pair of pants go wiggle, wiggle. One shirt go shake, shake. A little ways on, the little old lady came upon two white gloves and a tall black hat. And the gloves went clap, clap. Can you do that too? Clap, clap. And the hat went nod, nod. Get out of my way, you two white gloves and you tall black hat. I'm not afraid of you, said the little old lady. And on she walked, just a little bit faster. But behind her, she could hear two shoes go clump, clump. One pair of pants go wiggle, wiggle. One shirt go shake, shake. Two gloves go clap, clap. And one top hat go nod, nod. By now, the little old lady was walking quite a fast pace. She was very near her cottage when she was startled by a very huge, a very orange, a very scary, are you ready for it? Pumpkinhead! And the Pumpkinhead said, boo, boo. This time, the little old lady did not stop to talk. She did not stop at all. She ran. But behind her, she could hear two shoes go clump, clump. One pair of pants go wiggle, wiggle. One shirt go shake, shake. One pair of gloves go clap, clap. One top hat go nod, nod. And one scary pumpkin head go boo, boo. Now, the little old lady did not look back. She ran as fast as she could and didn't stop to catch her breath until she was safe inside her cottage with the door locked. She sat in her chair by the fire and she rocked and she rocked. Oh, back and forth and back and forth. It was so quiet in her cottage before the knock, knock came at her door. Should she answer it? Well, she was a little old lady who wasn't afraid of anything, right? So she went to the door and opened it. What do you think she saw? That's right, she saw two shoes go clump, clump. One pair of pants go wiggle, wiggle. One shirt go shake, shake. One pair of gloves go clap, clap. One top hat go nod, nod. And one scary pumpkin head go boo, boo. I'm not afraid of you, said the little old lady bravely. What do you want anyway? Well, we've come to scare you. Well, you can't scare me, said the little old lady. Then what's to become of us? The Pumpkinhead suddenly looked very unhappy. Oh. Well, said the little old lady, I think I might have an idea. And she whispered into the pumpkin's ear. The pumpkin head nodded, and his face seemed to brighten. The little old lady said, "Good night." She closed that door and whistled on her way to bed. The next morning, she woke up early. She went to her window and looked out into her garden. And what do you think she saw? She saw, of course, 2 shoes go clump, clump. 1 pair of pants go wiggle, wiggle. 1 shirt go shake, shake. 1 pair of gloves go clap, clap. 1 top hat go nod, nod. And 1 scary pumpkin head go boo, boo, and scare all the crows away. Do you see what all those things became? A scarecrow! Oh, not too scary, right? And that was the story of the little old lady who was not afraid of anything.
The voice from more Scaries to tell in the dark. Ellen had just fallen asleep when she heard a strange voice. "Ellen," whispered, "I'm coming up the stairs. I'm on the first step. Now I'm on the second step." Ellen got scared and called her parents, but they didn't hear her, and they didn't come. Then the voice whispered, "Ellen, I'm on the top step. Now I'm in the hall. Now I'm outside your room." And then it whispered, "I'm standing right next to your bed." And then, "I've got you!" Ellen screamed, and the voice stopped, and her father rushed into the room and turned on the light. "Somebody is in here," Ellen said. They looked, and nobody was there. A very short story from the book Half-Minute Horrors. Zoe sits on the bed with her mother at the foot. The overhead light is on, flooding most of the room, although shadows still creep up the walls at the edges. "Sit with me until I fall asleep," Zoe says. "There's a party going on downstairs." Zoe's mother hesitates. She can hear the clink of glasses, the bursts of low laughter. She's restless, longing to be down there, but Zoe will just sit alone in her brightly lit bed and wait for her mother to come back and finish the ritual. Zoe won't sleep otherwise. "Okay," Zoe's mother says, "get under the covers." Zoe snuggles down under them. "Tell me why vampires can't get me." "Vampires can't come in unless they're invited," Zoe's mother says, as she always does. "What about werewolves?" Zoe's mother makes a show of looking through the curtains. "No full moon tonight." Zoe's eyes drift closed, but she's far from sleeping. She has a new question, one that she just thought up. What about ghosts? Her mother pauses, looking down at her hands, and finally she answers, "Ghosts don't want to hurt anyone. If they hurt you, they do it by accident." "What if they hurt me by accident then?" Zoe says, looking at her mother. "They can only hurt the living," says Zoe's mother, her voice soft. "Oh," says Zoe. After a few moments, Zoe is asleep. Zoe's mother leans down to kiss her goodnight, but it's like kissing smoke.
Did you know that a long time ago I lived in Scotland? That's why I wanted to tell you this story. It happened a long, long time ago in Scotland. I wrote it down so I get the facts right. It happened to a piper. Have you ever played the bagpipes? I have. I'm not very good, not like this piper. He went from village to village playing his pipes, and people loved it. He'd play, and they'd dance a fling or a jig. Then they'd give him a few coins and a bite of supper and a warm place to sleep. And the next day, he'd travel on to the next village. A fine life. Until hard times came, because sometimes they do. The crops failed, and people didn't have enough extra to pay a wandering piper. And as the people grew poorer, so did he, and hungrier and cold with winter coming on. Worst of all, his boots were wearing out, holes in the soles beginning to flap when he walked, and walking was the only way he could afford to go. Finally, one awful, awful, awful cold night, when it started to snow, and he hadn't even eaten a spoonful of porridge in 3 days. He trudged along, shivering, with his boot soles flapping, when whoops, wham! He tripped and fell flat. He lay there for a minute, then picked himself up and brushed off the snow and looked to see what he tripped over. A log across the footpath. A log with a head at one end. A head? Not a log, a man, frozen stiff, with a hat on his head and boots on his feet. The piper felt bad for what he thought next, but dead men don't need boots. He unlaced one and tried to pull it off. They wouldn't come. He lifted the leg to get a better grip and pulled harder. But the foot was frozen as solid as the rest of the man, and the boot would not come. So the piper dropped the leg, and crack, the foot snapped right off, right above the boot. Well, the piper lifted the other leg and let it drop. Crack! The other foot snapped off too, and the piper had a new pair of boots. True, the dead man's feet were still inside them, but after they'd thawed. So he tied those laces together and hung the boots around his neck, and he went on his way. Soon up ahead, he saw smoke from a chimney, and then the lovely glow of candlelight through the window of a wee house. He drew closer and saw a farm couple sitting down for supper. And thinking those new boots must be good luck, he knocked on the door. "What do you want?" the farmer asked. "A bite of supper and a warm place to sleep," the piper said. "And I'll play for you and your wife." "No charity," the farmer said, and slammed the door. The poor piper. He didn't want to freeze to death. So he patted those lucky boots, and he knocked again. "Please," he said, and the farmer snatched open the door. "Please." "Oh, let him sleep with the cow," the farm wife called to her husband. "Fine," the farmer said. "Sleep with the cow, but mind that you're away before I milk her at dawn." The piper thanked the couple, and he went to the barn, more of a shed, but snug with clean straw. The cow looked around when he came in, chewing her cud the way cows do, and she gave him a pleasant moo. "A good moo to you too," the piper said, and he tucked himself and the frozen boots into the straw next to the warm cow and had a good night's sleep. As the sky pinkened just before dawn, the cow mooed and the piper woke up. He remembered the new boots and rustled through the straw until he found them. They'd thawed beautifully, and with a he pulled the dead man's feet out. He took off his own worn boots and put on the new ones. They might have been made for him. The cow nudged one of the old boots, and the piper got an idea. What if he played a trick on the piper, on the farmer, paid him back for being so stingy? He took the dead man's feet and he put them in his old boots. He put the boots down near the cow's head where she sat chewing the way cows do. Then he hid and waited for the farmer to come milk. But it was the farm wife who came with a lantern held high to see better. And what did she see? The cow chewing the way cows do, and two boots with only the feet still in them. Ah, the farm wife yelled. The cow ate the piper. Well, the farmer came running to see if this could be true. Oh, well, he said, when he saw the boots and the cow still chewing. There's nothing we can do but give what's left of him a decent burial. So they took the feet and a shovel up the hill across from the house, and they dug a grave. Not a 6-foot grave, more like a 2-foot grave. Then they went back to the house for breakfast. The piper patted the good patient cow. He'd enjoyed his trick. But he also appreciated the couple giving the feet a good burial, so he decided to thank them with a tune before he left. He climbed the hill across from the house. He stood by the grave, filled his lungs, filled the bagpipes, and played. I'm sure you can imagine how glorious that sounded. Can you also imagine what the farm couple thought when they heard the pipes? And when they looked out and saw the piper standing by the grave? Ah, they cried. The cow ate the piper and he'll haunt us all our days. And they ran from the house and away over the hills. The piper waited for them to come back. They didn't. He looked at the house with the door they left wide open, the fire crackling in the fireplace, breakfast on the table. Well, he hadn't let the boots go to waste, so he didn't let that fire and breakfast go to waste either. In fact, he enjoyed himself in that cozy wee house all day long. At the end of the day, as it grew dark, he heard a knock on the door. He roused himself from the warm fire and went to welcome whoever had come. A man stood on the doorstep, a short man and almost blue with cold. Oh, come in, the piper said. You're pale as death. Come in by the fire and warm your poor cold feet. The man looked at the piper. He looked at the piper's boots. He looked down where his own feet should be. And he said, that's what I've come to talk to you about. My poor, cold feet. The story you just heard is a retelling of the folk tale called The Cow Ate the Piper. It's a tale from the British Isles. If you'd like to read another version of the story, look for Cold Feet, told by Cynthia Day Felice and illustrated by Robert Andrew Parker.
This is the story, What Do You Come For? It's in the book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, collected by Alvin Schwartz. Are you ready? I think this one's pretty scary. What do you come for? There was an old woman who lived all by herself, and she was very, very lonely. Sitting in the kitchen one night, she said, "Oh, I wish I had some company." No sooner than she had spoken, than down the chimney tumbled 2 feet from which the flesh had rotted. The old woman's eyes bulged with terror. Then 2 legs dropped to the hearth and attached themselves to the feet. Then a body tumbled down. Then 2 arms and a man's head. As the old woman watched, The parts came together into a great gangling man. The man danced around and around and around the room. Faster and faster and faster he went. Then he stopped, and he looked into her eyes. What do you come for? She asked in a very small voice that shivered and shook. What do I come for? He said. I come for you! This is the story called I'm Not Afraid by Dan Gutman. It's from the book Half-Minute Horrors. I'm not afraid of the dark. So when I climbed the rotting steps of the old Granger mansion on Halloween night and peeked through the broken window, it didn't bother me that there were no lights on. When the squeaky wooden door opened by itself, it didn't scare me. When the echoing voice invited me inside to take some Halloween candy, it didn't scare me. When I stepped across the threshold and the door closed behind me, it didn't scare me. When I heard the lock click shut, it didn't scare me. The cobwebs brushing my face, they didn't scare me. The portraits of old people hanging on the walls didn't scare me. The knife that was sitting on the player piano didn't scare me. The strange chemical smell didn't scare me either. The otherworldly sounds coming from an unseen violin didn't scare me. The acrid taste in my mouth didn't scare me. The tortured screaming coming from a distant room didn't scare me. The footsteps that kept coming closer and closer and closer still didn't scare me. The insect crawling up the back of my leg didn't scare me. The blood that was dripping down the walls didn't scare me. No, none of that stuff scared me. I'll tell you what it was that scared me. The clown. And so we come to our last story. It is called In Conclusion by Gregory McGuire. It's from the book Half-Minute Horrors. In conclusion, you turn the page in the anthology of nightmares. Your heart throbs, your head throbs. At least this is the last story. But you begin to anticipate, the way one does, the infamous 2 words centered in bold-faced type. Farther on. Don't look. Don't dare glance ahead. You will come to them in time. We all do. They wait for us. That Omega prophecy curses the turn of the page. Inevitable. Final. What if, when you get there, you find out the truth of this bedeviled book, that those words mean what they say? They really are. The end.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Scary Story Marathon Round 2. We hope you enjoyed.